Hello, my name is Kara Latimer. I'm also known as Skydive Kara on Facebook, and I decided to make a video to share some information with you about some things I've specifically looked into uh, concerning some agenda items held that were on the um, City Council meeting held December 11th of 2018. First, I'd like to let you know I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving advice. I'm just presenting the information as I see it. Please agree or disagree, just do it respectfully. The December 11th meeting agenda and video can be viewed on the City of Cibolo's webpage under their agendas and minutes. And the attachments for the information that the staff provides to the council for those items can also be viewed when you go to the agenda and click the link below the agenda number, and then it will open those items up for you. But first, let me give you a brief synopsis of what I feel are two related issues: the toll road and forced annexation. As you may well be aware, our city is in a partnership with a toll road company, a private toll road company, to extend FM 1103 from the turn at Brighton Wild Road about 7 miles to I-10. And this road would be a toll road owned by a private company that does not have the power to take land or eminent domain land. But the city has stated in the contract that it would use its power of eminent domain as a last resort to get the land for the toll road company. Some of the land that's in the path of the toll road, for example, two pieces of land at the corner or where the curve comes in at Weil and Bright Road, those properties are in the county, and some also parcels of land down by I-10 and Zool Road are also still in the county. And so those properties in the county would provide the city no jurisdiction to take the land or eminent domain the land from those folks. Just a side note, all the owners that I've spoken to, including myself, I'm in the path of the toll road, do not want to sell to the toll road company. I do know of two persons that are willing to sell their land, and I only know two persons that are willing to sell their land. But there's a citizen-run Facebook page for that called the Cibolo Parkway information page. The second item I'd like to talk to you about that's related is something called forced annexation. And there's a citizen-run Facebook page for that topic as well. It's a long name. It's called Stop Forced Annexation in Guadalupe County. And let me just give you a brief rundown in case, like me, you need to brush up on what some of these terms are going to mean. So first, we live in a state, obviously, that's divided into counties and then cities. And cities have all kinds of classifications and rules that the state, puts on the city. And to get right to the point, the city of Cibolo is called a home rule city, and we have city limits. And the property that extends about 2 miles past our city limits is called our ETJ, or extraterritorial jurisdiction. This is a special little buffer zone, and that's why it's referred to as the ETJ. And the state regulates that as well. And some folks that live in that area were being told that they would have to be annexed into the city of Cibolo. And some of these folks didn't particularly want to be annexed into the city of Cibolo, and they sought legal advice. And those folks discovered that Cibolo is classified as a Tier 2 city because it has some property in Bexar County and Guadalupe County, and this made forced annexation something the city could not legally do. So at a meeting with these folks, the city management stated that they would do nothing about annexation until next year, January of 2019. The city said it would begin looking into creating non-annexation agreements. And basically, these documents allow that you can't change the use of your land or sell your land or subdivide your land, and that if you did that at that time, then you would agree to go into the city of Cibolo. Otherwise, a non-annexation agreement allows status quo for you only being in the county and not paying city taxes and not receiving services for the city. So I think that explains these two items, and then they're going to link together. Um, and this link is why some citizens perceive what is going on in this December 11th City Council meeting as negative or bad or misrepresenting or dishonest. So hopefully this information will help you decide for yourself. And then I hope you will let your council person know your position. Don't feel bad if you don't know who your council person is. The council districts are on the city website. And don't feel bad if you don't know what district you're in, because that's part of the reason for me making this video, is to hopefully inspire you to find out who your council person is, what district you live in, and take action. So let's begin with agenda item number 7. It was a public hearing. The city of Cibolo was conducting a public hearing to hear public testimony concerning the disannexation of 69.1 acres from the city limits. It's located at 260 West Schaefer Road. The city manager got up and addressed the facts that this piece of land or these pieces of property had been annexed into the city, and that created the city, or is the sole reason that the city of Cibolo is a tier 2 classification, meaning they cannot force annex people. And this is a new finding for the city staff. Because there was some confusion and some other meetings about that. But basically, this 69.1 acres is what makes the city of Cibolo a tier 2 classification. Then the city manager also states that the ETJ cannot be regulated, which is somewhat true. And he states that a portion, I mean, it is true in the regard in which he's speaking. And he states that a portion of this land in 1986 was annexed. And then in 2014, the other portion of this 69 acres was annexed because somebody was placing fill dirt or debris and dumping fill dirt and debris on that land in what the city perceived as inappropriate or possibly a public safety hazard. So because it was in the ETJ and couldn't be regulated, that's what I mean, the city manager was correct, this land was annexed so that then the city could get some regulations on that land. But this hearing now, that brought in December of 2018, is the city staff is holding the required hearing and asking the city council to consider de-annexing this parcel of land after telling the Stop Force Annexation people that they would not address annexation issues until after the new year. So we had a public hearing about de-annexation. Yeah, exactly. So while annexation of the land is helpful, like in this particular case where we annexed that portion of Bexar County to protect the citizens from and regulate that land from inappropriate fill dirt and potential problems downstream. Annexation allowed us to control or regulate that land. So while it's helpful, the city also has a cost to annexation, which is when they provide services to the landowner. They have to provide services, rather, to the landowner in a specified period of time. And there was some discussion about not collecting taxes on that piece of property, and I felt it was just a muddy water point, but I want to address it just briefly to say that when a piece of land is annexed and into the city, in order for the taxation to occur, an ordinance is sent to the county tax collector. And I don't know. I haven't done any research as to if there was an ordinance that was sent to him and that he misread it or misunderstood it or did not apply it, or if the city did not send an ordinance. I don't know. So I just want to address, I do not have the answer on that particular case. So while annexation is helpful, it also comes at a cost to the city. And that a lot of places where the city is wanting to annex, They don't provide the city services such as water or sewer. And those services, those utility districts are called like sewer CCN or water CCN. So if you hear that, that means that it's just the boundary for the municipality, the city of Cibolo's water or sewer, or the boundary or the municipality of Green Valley Special Utility District. And that's what that means. So let's talk about the second agenda item. That is a subdivision that is going into the ETJ. It's a KB home subdivision that is in the ETJ. And remember, the ETJ means that it's not in the city of Cibolo's city limits. So they do not have a lot of regulatory jurisdiction, but Texas Local Government Code 212.002 says that if and only if a city uses an ordinance to make its regulatory code, UDC in this case, we call it Unified Development Code, and they do it under an ordinance, that yes, they can. They just can't regulate lot size or density, what can be built, or permitting. There's like 4 or 5 things. So this subdivision is right on the border of the city limits, and it touches the existing subdivisions of Saddle Creek and the Heights of Cibolo, which are in the city limits. And this subdivision would also be on that side of 1103, south of Green Valley Road. And a portion of that area, that subdivision's area, would be in the sewer CCN for Green Valley Special Utility District, also known as the GV SUD. So that's how sometimes they refer to it. If you listen, that's what they're talking about. The items that are up for issue, I think with our council, was what can we regulate in our ETJ and how do we do it? And then the second thing that they were asking is understanding the boundaries of our sewer and water CCNs, and what if the Green Valley SUD gave up a portion of their sewer, do we have to allow that portion of the subdivision to connect to our city sewers? And then there was some concern about what is actually required to pass the land study. Can they not pass this land study because of a legal reason? And those were all kind of questions that were posed to the city staff at this meeting. And some of their answers, the questions weren't answered because a city attorney stated that, you know, the developer's attorneys were present, and he felt that those answers should be given in special counsel. So I want to tell you what I learned about it, and just kind of keep you apprised. First, the state law does allow us to regulate platting in our ETJ, and it also allows, under some strict guidelines, us to bring in subdivision regulation. And so I was like, well, what does that mean, right? What does Texas Local Government Code 212 mean? So the first person I went to was my county commissioner, Mr. Wolverton, and I said, hey, Mr. Wolverton, Commissioner Wolverton, can you help me? And he said he would be glad to. And so he provided me a copy of an interlocal agreement, which is required by law, but that's a whole different talk. And he said, hey, Kara, you know what else? In Guadalupe County, we have several cities that are like Cibolo, that are home rule cities, that have interlocal agreements with us. And you might take a look at how they regulate their subdivisions in their ETJ. And I thought that was brilliant. Of course, Commissioner Wolverton is been around for us constituents a long time, helping us out. So off I trotted down to San Marcos, picked up the phone, rather. I didn't really actually go there. I picked up the phone and I spoke to their planning department, and I said, hey, how do you guys take care of all of this high density subdivisions coming into your ETJ with all kinds of crazy things? What do you do to protect your environment and your master plan for your city and the growth and development that's going on in your city? And they said, Kara, take a look at what we call our SMTX code, and you can Google that. You can Google SMTX code, and you will see the San Marcos code. And they said, if you go under subdivision, uh, Division 3 lots, you will see the words that we use. They say in lot frontage that every lot shall have frontage on a public street except as allowed under their courtyard or cottage court buildings. So that's the first chunk of it. They say you must have your lots face a public street. Awesome. So then, we're talking about lot density and size. And so we can't restrict in our regulations, but we can regulate. And so what San Marcos said is that you can have a lot under 40 feet of road frontage, but if you choose to have a lot that has less than 40 feet, their exact, it says all lots 40 feet or less in width platted after the date of this code are required to take vehicular access from an alley. So what they've done is they've said, hey, you can have this, but the street look is not what we're wanting. The public street access of that dimension of street frontage is not congruent with the look of the city. And so that's how they regulate it. They're not restricting them, they're just regulating them. So they kind of explained to me that, and I passed that on to some interested parties and said that it would probably benefit our city to amend some of our UDC language to reflect this type of regulation. Although even though right now we have in there the county 60-foot of public street access, or public, that you have to be adjacent to 60 feet of public street. So we kind of do have that language in there. Again, not an attorney, just trying to let you know how San Marcos regulates their subdivisions, and that it is possible, and that other home rule cities are struggling with the same kind of problems that Cibolo is. And that's the solution that they've given or provided to their council and to their planning and zoning commissions. Now, a land study is specifically to address utilities. That's the whole. This isn't even out of platting yet. This is just the land study. And we, in this land study, there is a letter that, like, if you click on that agenda item, and you'll see this letter from Mr. Klein to Ms. Garcia. Mr. Klein is our city engineer. Ms. Garcia is our planner. And in that letter, it states that the GV SUD, the Green Valley Special Utility District, would allow the release of their sewer CCN, or a small portion of their sewer CCN, of the subdivision to go to Cibolo. And that this letter stated that the details of how that would all be worked out has not been achieved. So this is the whole purpose of the land study, is to ascertain how that's going to be achieved. Now, so just side note, I talked to Mr. Pat Allen, who is the general manager of Green Valley Special Utility District, and he specifically addressed what the GV SUD had done. He stated that about a year ago, at the request of the developer, the board had voted to allow the small portion within the platted subdivision of the sewer CCN for Green Valley Special Utility District to be turned over to Cibolo. He also stated to me that the decision of his board to allow this to occur in no way encumbered or bound the city of Cibolo to cover the area. He simply stated that this developer, in order to accomplish what they wanted, would benefit from the decision if the city of Cibolo would allow them to hook up that portion of the subdivision to the city sewer. Now, in the city, the portion that resides in the city of Cibolo's sewer CCN, we have to allow them to, but only after they finish their land survey and we can ascertain if our city sewer pipe is large enough to handle the load of how many homes that they are choosing to put in there. So, so that's something to know. And then, so I wanted you to know that. And after speaking to the lady from San Marcos, she said, listen, not knowing all of the details and not having all of the information handy to me, she said, as a matter of practice, our city would probably choose to enter into a development agreement that would bring that subdivision into the city of San Marcos, and then they would regulate and zone it according to their city regulations, because they are bringing in a separate load from the other CCN, the sewer CCN, into the city of Cibolo CCN. So it's something to know that other cities are working these things out, and that's how they're choosing to do it. And the developer, KB Homes, I'm sure has built in San Marcos and has come across this same type of agreements, development agreements. So I just thought you should know that. I know it's a lot of information. If you have any questions, and this isn't the whole of it, this is just a very long discussion about it, because it's days worth of work, but I wanted you to know. So please pick up the phone, call the SUD, call San Marcos, call the county commissioner, call your city council person, and let them know how you feel this should be handled, or let them know you have concerns about what's going on. I think that we as a city can, as a city of citizens, individual people, all make a difference. So pick up the phones and call, and keep yourself informed. And thank you.